Welcome to this latest Flight Simulator First Officer video. Today I'm sitting in the Aerosoft Airbus A319, which along with the Carenado Saab 340 Bravo are the latest aircraft to be supported by FSFO Pro. Although this video will focus on FSFO Pro, most of the features I'm going to show you have been applied across the range of FSFO products to include FSFO Lite and FSFO Airliner. So if you own one or both of those applications, I would encourage you to stay tuned. Also, before we get into the pre-flight flow and showcase of the features, a quick disclaimer. This is still very much a development copy and won't be the final version that I upload to SimMarket. In fact, I am in the development version now, so we may encounter some bugs along the way which will be corrected prior to uploading to SimMarket. Okay, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and start looking at one of the primary new features, which is the ability to change your accent and or language. So you can do that by clicking on configuration, then going to sound configuration. If you haven't updated to at least the latest version of FSFO, you probably noticed that this is different as well. We provided the ability to output your sound to any of your connected output devices during the last update. So for me, I like to have my co-pilots outputted to my USB headset, and then my flight attendant outputted to my primary speakers. This gives the illusion that the flight attendants are outside of the cockpit and adds to the immersion of the flight. On my development machine, though, I don't have any headsets connected, so I'm just running everything primary through my speaker. As you can note here, we've also added the different languages and accent packs. The reason I did that is we have a wide market of individuals who purchase this from Europe. So I definitely wanted to add some more realism for those users. Let's be honest, if you're flying for Air France or Ryanair or British Air or Lufthansa, it's unlikely your co-pilot is going to hail from the United States, the northeast corner of the United States. So I wanted to provide that. Having said that, for full disclosure, these are computer-generated voices. However, they do incorporate AI technology, so there are voice inflections, and they sound pretty good. In fact, let's go ahead and take a listen to the German accent now.
Weather looks like it's holding for now.
All right, so again, computer-generated, but definitely to my acceptable. And I wanted to provide it while still keeping the cost of FSFO down. I think right now at about $3 per supported aircraft. If I were to hire voice actors for multiple languages, it would definitely drive the price up, and I don't want to do that. I want to keep this as accessible to many flight simulators as possible. Right now, I have another English pack, and then a French and German. I will be adding Spanish and British in a future update. The very next update, once I support the 747-800 and the Aerosoft A330, I'll add those additional voice packs. Interested in also to hear your feedback, the quality. If it's something you're not interested in using, please let me know, and we'll dump that going forward. Okay, so with that said, that's the primary change there. Another change I wanted to highlight for our FSFO Lite and our FSFO Airliner uses is the ability now to import flight plans, which is something several people had asked me to do. So you can now just click a button and get your SimBrief, PFPX, or whatever .pln flight plan, whatever you have that generates that, and you can simply import that here. However, the reason why I did not include that feature in previous incarnations of this program is because Microsoft Flight Simulator doesn't output a .pln file, so I don't want to assume that all the users are using SimBrief or PFPX or some kind of flight plan generator. So I also retain the ability to go ahead and just simply type in your ICAO codes and then hit calculate, and it will also go ahead and calculate the information for you. So that's for our Lite and our airline users. That is something that they asked for, and we definitely wanted to honor. Okay, let's get back in the Pro. As you know, the briefing here has not changed since the previous version. As I specified in other videos, uploading a briefing is not required if you're using a PMDG aircraft. The same rule applies if you're using an Aerosoft aircraft. Similar to PMDG, they expose almost all of their MCDU data. So we don't need any of this information. We can get the V1, VR speeds all from the MCDU. So you don't need to import a flight plan if you're using an Aerosoft aircraft. All right, let's go ahead and get underway. The first thing you obviously do is you connect FSFO to the
Parking
simulator.
brake off.
Okay, whoop, we still have a German sound on. Since this is a Delta flight, I'm going to go ahead and change that to English. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn on autoflows.
Good afternoon, Captain.
So what autoflows are, as explained in previous videos, it starts the flows at specific points in the flight. For example, the pre-flight flow is started when the main door is open. The before start flow is started when the main door is closed. The after start flow is started when the engines are running and stabilized. The after landing flow or cleanup flow is initiated when the aircraft exits the runway and the ground speed falls below 10 miles per hour. And then the shutdown flow is automatically initiated when you're at the gate and the parking brake's set. All right, so the co-pilot has entered the cockpit and he is now powering up the aircraft. You may be asking yourself, hey, why is he powering up the APU and not the GPU? So that's based on a configuration, which is here, startup power source. We have it set to APU. You could have it set to GPU. If it's set to the latter, then the co-pilot would go ahead and connect the ground power unit. However, the reason why I wrote FSFO is because I have a finite amount of time to fly, and unfortunately I don't have the 30 to 45 minutes of pre-flight time to do a realistic flight. So this is FSFO provides a good a counter to that, where I can still have some realism, but I can do it in a expedient route. So there's the APU. Another feature that was explained in previous videos, but I want to highlight here is to perform tests when aircraft not powered. We have yes. Again, the co-pilot came into the cockpit. He noticed it was in a cold and dark state, so he's going to assume this is the first flight of the day. So after the APU is powered up, he's going to go through several tests, again, assuming that this is the first flight of the day. And you'll see that in a minute. There we go. So he's checking the systems, the hydraulic page, the bleed page. Now he's going to do the fire test. And again, this is all based on the assumption that this is the first flight of the day. Tests are completed. Checking the internal cockpit lights. GPWS test.
Pull terrain.
So while the co-pilot is doing this is the time I like to go ahead and prepare the flight, load the packs, load the cargo. And we'll just use instant load today.
You can program the CDU now.
Okay, so he set the Irs panel, so set it to nav, right? So these should be up here in the nav.
All right, I'm going to go
nav
complete the
position,
walk-around
which
now.
they are. And now he's on his way out for the walk around. So while he's doing the walk around, that's a good time for us to go ahead and program the MCDU. And you'll have to excuse me, a little rusty on the Airbuses. When I have time, it's been with Boeing aircraft lately, so let's see if we can muddle our way through the Airbus. So we're going to go down to Logan International today, which is my typical test flight. And we already have a flight plan loaded, so let's call our flight number will be just FSFO 101. And we'll choose a cost index of 35, which is pretty typical, and I think that's what the manual that comes with this recommends using. Okay, let's go ahead and do the Irs Align, because that takes, since it's set to realistic, that's going to take about 5 minutes to align, which is great because the co-pilot will be on his walk around. Let's go ahead, since we already set the weight, let's go ahead and set our init 2 page to the right fuel predictions. Great. Flight plan is already set. We're going to take the Bangor 3 departure, which is a vectored approach. And 27, and I saw one more discontinuity in here. Okay, discontinuity after manual you can't clear, because essentially that's just reminding the pilot that it is a ATZ vector from that point. So let's move over to our pref page, and we're just going to use flaps 1. Again, Bangor has an extremely long runway. So there's our B speeds all set. Typically, I wait to do the approach as we get close to the airport, but since it's only 174 miles away, I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and input that. Now, the weather's not going to change that much. You know what I forgot to do? Download the weather. Let's do that again. The weather's not going to change that much from the time from this point until the time we land. So let's take a look. So we have a 3004. That's our altimeter. Get that set in. The temperature is minus 15. My goodness, that is cold. So minus 15. And then the wind looks like it's 250 at 9, but gusting to 17. So we'll take half the gust, add that to there. So that's what, 8. So we'll take that and make that 4 and 9 is 13. 250 at 13, and 200 will be our altimeter. So there we go. So we're all set now. The MCDU is all loaded, ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and hit control, and that will tell the co-pilot to go ahead and end his walk around.
Weather reports look pretty good.
Okay. Well, I'm not using any live weather. Again, this is the development machine, so I keep this pretty bare just to make sure that everything needs to be where it's at. So again, he's just checking the upper panel here, working through his systematic flows. There it goes. The passenger signs are on. Now he's working his way down here to the panel. It's setting the altimeters. You'll notice he put that into an imperial standard. That is based on this right here, kilograms. If you have this set to kilograms, he's going to assume you want the hectopascal, or metric kind of rating. So since I don't, because this is a Delta flight, he went ahead and just switched that over for us. Okay, so now the pre-flight flow is completed. As with other previous versions, you have multiple ways to execute a checklist. One is by voice, which we can initiate the speech recognition engine by simply clicking on this button here, or you can do an automated mode. What we're going to do here is we're just going to do the automated mode, and I'm gonna push pre-flight checklist.
Pre-flight checklist. Cockpit preparation completed. Passenger signs on. Irs. Set. Fuel 16964 pounds. Checked. FMGS set. Altimeters set. Checklist complete.
Okay, so there we go. That was the pre-flight checklist that was automated. The co-pilot moved on to the next checklist call because everything was set in the correct parameter. Let's go ahead and set the
pre-flight
seatbelt
checklist.
Lights off and see what happens.
Cockpit preparation completed. Passenger signs.
You see now he's waiting. The passenger sign, he's waiting because the passenger signs aren't set correctly. So once you flip that to on, he'll go to the next checklist challenge.
On. Irs. Set. Fuel 16959 pounds. Checked. FMGS set. Altimeters set. Checklist complete.
Okay, so there we go. So the checklist is complete. Again, you notice he read back the fuel to you. That's based on this setting right here, call numbers. If you just want him to say check, just leave that unselected and he will just say check. Also, he read pounds back because we have kilograms here unchecked as well. So there we go. What I'm doing now is I'm waiting for the Iris to align, and then I will close the main cabin door, which will automatically initiate the before start flow based on the auto flow setting that we have right now. Again, as I explained in previous videos, the automated flow I find to be slightly more realistic. The co-pilots know when they have to perform certain functions. They certainly don't need the captain to tell them. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and close the main door. And the main door is closing here, and then the pre-flight flow will start automatically. Okay. So you hear the flight attendant message in the background. That is because we have flight attendant messages enabled here. If you prefer to use the Aerosoft flight attendant calls, by all means use them. And again, if you're unfamiliar, those can be accessed also by the third MCDU here. just go into, I believe it's options, sounds, and there you go. You can turn on your flight crew here. I have it off. I just prefer FSFO. So there we go. So the next checklist, I would like to initiate the speech recognition engine, and we're going to go through that via voice command. So let's go ahead and start our voice command. Also, by the way, just so we're clear, in order to use this the voice checklist, this button also has to be enabled along with the speech recognition engine. The reason why they're both required is some people prefer to use the automated checklist that we just highlighted during the pre-flight checklist, but still give commands to raise the gear or set the heading to a certain heading. That's the difference between the two of these. So let's go ahead and engage the voice recognition. Before start checklist.
Before start checklist. Doors.
Closed.
Beacon.
Is on. On.
Parking brake.
Set.
Checklist complete.
Okay. So the checklist is complete. The checklist is based on the Airbus recommended checklist setting. It does not use the Aerosoft checklist that came with the aircraft. This checklist right here, if you look at the manufacturer Airbus's checklist, a lot of this stuff is done during the flows. So a lot of it is silence. It doesn't require a challenge response mechanism that a checklist offers. So this is not used. It uses the Airbus's recommended checklist. All right, so that brings us to the feature that I'd like to showcase here, which is the ability to connect with or contact ground to go ahead and do the pushback for you. Again, this applies to both Microsoft Flight Simulator, or FSFO Airliner and FSFO Lite. So let's go ahead and try that. Ground from cockpit.
Go ahead.
Ready for pushback.
Steering pin inserted. Release brakes.
Parking brake off.
Starting push. Cleared to start engines.
Okay, as we can see, we're starting to push back now. I can control the pushback by simply saying nose right or nose left, which I'm going to do in a moment. You can stop the pushback by just simply saying stop pushback, or you can abort the pushback and say abort pushback. So that's it. The challenge and the response and challenge, they have to be done in sequence. So when I said ground from cockpit, you won't proceed to the next step until I make the phrase that says ready for pushback, and then set your parking brake. If you use Pro, it's all enumerated up here in the messages. So just follow the messages. Nose right.
Nose right.
And it takes just a second for the nose to go right. So just for your planning purposes, it takes just about a second. But you should start to see the nose to move right now. Here we go. It's moving to the right. So big parking way here at Bangor International. And I think that's good enough. Stop pushback.
Stopping pushback. Set parking brake.
Parking brake on.
Steering pin removed. Cleared to taxi. Have a great flight.
Okay, and that completes the pushback. Again, that's applicable to all the FSFO Lite, FSFO Airliner, and of course FSFO Pro. Definitely not to the level of something like GSX, but the whole point is expediency while still having some realism. So also, you'll note that I was toggling my speech recognition engine on and off, and you see this go from green to yellow. Right now, this is in soft mute, so the speech recognition is engaged, but it's not going to do anything with the command here. So basically what I'm using is the Microsoft's internal no smoking value to turn on and off the speech recognition engine. So for example, if you go to here and you go to controls and you just type in smoking, you'll see the smoking alert. You see how that's assigned to V. The key. So every time I hit V, I can toggle the speech recognition to soft mute mode without impacting the aircraft itself. So PMGG, Aerosoft, they don't care about the Microsoft's internal smoke, no smoking setting. So that's for soft mute, which is valuable if you, if you live if your cockpit, your virtual cockpit is in an area surrounded by lots of ambient noise, or if you fly online. I use it because I fly online, and that's based on this setting right here, smoking mic mute. Again, I find that to be invaluable. Okay, let's go ahead and command the Copilot to start the engines. Start engines. Okay.
Starting engine 2.
So now the Copilot will start the engines. Again, you can start the engines too during the pushback phase once the ground crew gives you the permission, if you will, to do so. So while the engines are starting up, you might be asking, well, why I decided to include the Aerosoft Airbuses. They have an embedded Copilot, and to be honest with you, the reason why
Engine 2 cut out.
I didn't initially include the Aerosoft buses is because of the Copilot. I used the Copilot, but I found as I was using it more and more, it is very a scripted Copilot, which means everything has to be performed in the exact sequence, or it just didn't work well. So it kind of frustrated me after a while, and that's when I decided, just to go ahead and add that to Aerosoft.
Starting engine 1.
The FSFO Pro, to give it the flexibility that I needed. Okay, so now engine 1 is coming online. And so far, so good. Haven't encountered any bugs. I think this is my 5th time through with the Airbus aircraft.
Engine 1 cut out.
Okay, so both engine 1 and 2 are started. And what will happen now is we're going to have to wait for both engines to stabilize before the Copilot automatically starts the after start flow. And it only takes about 90 seconds to do so.
All engines stable.
There we go. And then he goes right into the after start flow again, because we have the auto option set. He just stopped the APU, arming the spoiler, and he set the flaps per the setting that we set in the MCDU. So external lights, the taxi light, as you can see, is on now. And the transponder just went to TARA. So let's go ahead and reenact voice, and let's do the taxi checklist. Taxi checklist.
Taxi checklist. Flight controls. Full left. Full right. Full back. Full forward. Check. Trim.
All right, so for the trim, they're waiting. We said 108, or excuse me, 0.08. That was our trim. So let's go ahead and set it to 0.08. And when we're ready, checked.
Briefing.
Completed.
Flaps.
Set.
FMA takeoff data. V1-138. VR-139er. V2-143. Check. Transponder.
Is set. Set.
Checklist complete.
Okay, you heard him read back the V speeds. Again, that is based on the this setting right here called V1, VR, V2. If you just wanted him to say set check, you would go ahead and you would set that to just uncheck it. So, all right, so there we go. I don't have my rudder set up, so taxiing will be difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and do the before takeoff checklist out here. And I think we covered pretty much everything I wanted to get in this video, but we'll definitely do more down the line. So let's go ahead and do the before takeoff checklist very prematurely. Before takeoff checklist.
Before takeoff checklist. Flight attendants prepare for takeoff. Engine mode selector.
Set.
ECAM memo.
Takeoff. No blue.
Checklist complete.
So obviously there is blue. The cabin notification actually once you taxi, I think above 10 miles an hour, that just kind of goes away. So, but there we go. That is the pre-flight for the new Aerosoft A320, which is now fully supported in Pro. If you have any concerns or questions, please let me know. We'll definitely aim to make it better. As far as for the future of FSFO Pro, the next 3 aircraft that are going to come out are going to be the PMDG 737-8, the Aerosoft A330, and the Majestic -8. After that, that will probably be it for supported aircraft under the Pro version. I'm already working on FSFO version 3. I want to go back to a single aircraft kind of purchase aperture, as opposed to, you know, having to get 15 aircraft for one piece of software. So that's what I'm thinking about for the future as we push more towards Microsoft Flight Simulator. But Pro is definitely not going anywhere, and look to make it better with everybody's help out there. Just also want to say thanks for the great support. I mean, I receive daily emails about people who just appreciate the simplicity of FSFO, and it's growing as I kind of look through YouTube. It's definitely becoming part of more people's virtual experience. So thank you for all the great support. Please help me make this better. I'm sure there'll be some bugs out there that I just simply didn't catch on the first time around. I am a single developer, so you know everything is done by me. So any help you can offer is greatly appreciated. With that said, thank you. Have a great day.